Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Tim. This is David from Slingshot Group. We put people in their place.
Through staffing and coaching for churches and nonprofits. We've found that one of the most important things when you are putting someone in their place and when you're bringing that new person onto the team is that you really have the mindset of a coach.
Some driven leaders will say, I don't want people on my team where I have to hold their hand. But here's the deal. When somebody starts, they need their hand held for a period of time, especially at the beginning of their career in a certain organization or a church.
If you have a team, whether they're volunteers or paid, that are looking to you for leadership and guidance, that actually part of your job description is to be a coach to them. We cannot just be taskmasters. We cannot just want the bottom line, though those things are important. We have to accomplish the task. But to invest in our people in a very intentional way will actually yield much better fruit in the ministry that you have them working on. To show them through the people you introduce them to, through the questions you ask. I mean, actually, if we even pause for a second on questions, we have this great tool at Slingshot Group that we've been using to really help use questions better. We think we're wanting to move leaders from being good question askers to what we would call professional question askers. And so we put together 52 of our favorite questions that you can ask. Each day, you grab one of those cards, and that's the question that's in your back pocket that you're ready to use in a given moment. Having a question ready helps to draw or mine out a person's story.
What is your dream job role?
Gosh, this sounds so cheesy. Why is that the one? I feel like I'm in it, not just because this is, work joy. I feel like I'm in it, and for a lot of different reasons, but to be able to invest in leaders and help to create coaches and people love their work is a big deal.
I heard somebody say recently that the quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. And what I love about these questions, they're questions that reveal personality, they're questions that reveal story, but they're also questions that unlock blockages in a leader's role. And it reminds us that we've always got to be asking those great questions.
Absolutely. When we look at a leader coming onto your team, oftentimes we look at the first 90 days of that person's leadership. And we really believe, and studies have shown, that the first 90 days almost dictates the runway that person is going to have as far as their success moving forward.
Also, you get one shot at your first 90 days. You know, often when we're working with leaders in a coaching capacity, we'll say, list out the values that you want people to believe about you. And then make sure you are working towards people believing those things.
But what happens is that we leave it up to them to figure it out.
Right.
Hey, I am going to judge you for 90 days, but I'm going to let you figure out how it goes. Again, I would push back and say, as the leader, it's your job to coach them through their first 90 days. And so even at Slingshot Group, one of the things that we did about a year ago is we launched our first 90 days coaching offering. And really what that is I can give you a little bit of a visual here, Tim. In the very beginning, you have this line, and everything that goes above this line, everything above it is when they're starting to contribute to your culture. Everything below this line is when that new hire is kind of taking energy away from your culture because you're having to somehow bring them into it.
And that's so every new hire. Right?
Every new hire. It doesn't matter how talented they are. It doesn't matter how good they are at their job, how much they fit your culture. They are going to take energy before they contribute energy. The average person, as you look at it, looks a little something like this. They basically kind of ride down here and slowly come up until that 90-day mark. And once they cross the line at 90 days, right here is where they have started to contribute. And that is average. That's not negative. That's something you should expect from the new hire.
Without input, without coaching.
Without coaching. This is somebody that you just say, hey, welcome to the team. Hope you do well. Right? Which, again, sadly is what so many of us do.
Right.
Let me show you here, though, with this yellow line. This is what happens when you are intentional in coaching that new staff member. Right away, they are able to almost cut that time in half. Right. What we found is when you focus on the first 3 months with a coach's mind, it cuts almost in half where their contribution is on the team. I've had pastors look at me and say, Dave, you have no idea how busy we are as a staff. We don't have time to, what you would say earlier, hold someone's hand through this. Right. And so what we've told them is, I actually don't believe that you can afford not to do it. The cost is so much greater by letting them flounder than it would be if you walked them through it intentionally. And so one of the things that we've started started doing at Slingshot is for that church that maybe doesn't have the time, and which we totally understand, you can actually bring our team in to coach that new hire. Let's give a couple examples of how to do this well. One is that as you're bringing that new person on the team, that you are, again, with the intentional questions, by asking them questions, you are inviting them to ask you questions.
Right.
The other thing is intentionally coaching them toward relationships. It's not always about intentionally coaching them toward their job being better, but intentionally coaching them toward their relationships on staff being better. And so one thing that we recommend that churches do is maybe give them, whether it's gift cards or whether it's part of their budget or something that's a piece of who they are within their job description, to take to lunch maybe the heads of different departments of the church or the teams of different departments of the church. Imagine that if in your first 2 weeks you had a relational connect with the new team that you're not that you're directly working with, but that you're working with across divisions on the church. That will expedite in an amazing way what that relational equity would turn into. There's so many others, and we would love to talk more about it. But start with those two. We at Slingshot Group, we want to be a part of putting you in your place.
But you get to help people love their work.